friends, Sarah here from Sleeping is for Losers, and today we're going to talk about a topic that I get asked about very frequently from bloggers, online entrepreneurs, people who are looking to maybe make some side income or some changes in their current employment. And it has to do with qualifying their ideas. And now before I even get started, I have to say this has been a hard one for me for a long time. How do you know that your idea is worth pursuing? I had to really sit down, put my thinking cap on, and come up with some criteria. Now, many of you know that I released an ebook, 0 to 1,000 Instagram followers, real quick in January of 2017, and it was instantly a hit. It sold way more than I ever expected. And that's when people really started asking me, how did you know it was a good idea? How do I know that what I'm thinking about is worth pursuing? So let's unpack that a little bit. I've come up with 4 questions that I ask myself really unknowingly. I don't have a formula or a system where I write down ideas or answers. Maybe you will do that for yourself. But these are 4 questions that I ask myself and I really think about before I chase an idea. And let me tell you, at any given time, I have 800 million ideas rolling around in my head. So there are a lot of ideas that I shelve and don't chase. There are a lot of ideas that I shelve and maybe chase later on. But there are a couple ideas that I pursue immediately. And sometimes I'm right and sometimes I'm wrong. But let's talk about the criteria that I use for pursuing my ideas. First of all, please never, ever use your feeling of unworthiness or fear as a barometer for chasing an idea. As someone who creates their own products, someone who creates their own online brand, you will always feel some element of fear, of unworthiness, of imposter syndrome. That will always be there. So please never use that feeling as a reason why you are not pursuing something. It will never fully go away. Even if you're wildly successful, it will never fully go away. But here are some things you can do to qualify your idea before you go whole hog and pour yourself into it completely. So, first of all, the first thing I ask myself is this something that I'm really passionate about? Is it something that sets my soul on fire? Something that makes me want to jump out of bed most mornings? Not every morning, because let's be real, we're not jumping out of bed every morning, but makes me want to jump out of bed and get working on it and makes me feel excited. And coupled with that, am I doing this for money or to serve other people? So those 2 questions go hand in hand in my thinking. And this is why. If I'm going to do something that excites me, that sets my soul on fire, I usually think it's a good idea. But if I'm doing it because I've heard other people have made a lot of money doing it, if I'm doing it because it's very, on trend right now and there's lots of people just raking in the dough because of it, or if I'm doing it because I have a big bill coming up and I need to pay for that car or that house or that whatever that's coming up, then it's not a good idea. So even if it sets my soul on fire, if it is not going to serve and help and assist and grow other people, then I shelve the idea. Or I rethink it or reframe it. Because in my experience, doing things because it's going to make me money has always led to failure. And doing things that I'm really, really passionate about and that help and serve other people has always led to success. So that's my first criteria. The next criteria for any idea that I have, well, it goes something like this. I sit down with myself or I drink a Diet Coke and talk to myself out loud, which I tend to do a lot. Say, what's the worst that could happen? If I pursue this idea and it doesn't work out for whatever reason, what's the worst that could happen? And I'll use my ebook, for example, because I actually made a pro and con list, which is very unlike me, because I was so full of fear and doubt and I didn't think that anyone was going to buy that darn ebook. So what's the worst that could happen if I create that ebook, put it on my website, and nobody buys it? Well, I've wasted my time. Okay, fair enough. I really technically haven't, because I can take that content and repurpose it onto my blog or write articles. Maybe I'd pitch an article or two somewhere. My husband did a lot of the graphics for it, so I will have wasted his time. Okay, fair enough, but I can still repurpose and reuse those graphics. They're not actually wasted time. And he had so much fun making them. I would feel embarrassed. I actually would feel humiliated if nobody purchased the ebook that I made. Okay, that's an internal feeling. Maybe I would have to explain to one or two people, like, sales didn't go the way I'd hoped, but I'm pivoting and I'm going to be re-releasing something else with a bit of a different marketing plan. Yes, personally, I would feel, embarrassed and humiliated, but I'd be able to deflect a lot of that off, and I would get over that. That wouldn't be a crushing blow to me in terms of never blogging or creating something again. So you need to really get clear on what's the absolute worst case scenario if your idea doesn't work out. If it sees you homeless or having to sell all your possessions, maybe you need to go to my next criteria. And that is where you ask yourself, is there a low cost, or even better, free way to explore this idea before I jump in head first? So you might do something like create a couple of YouTube videos and see what the feedback is about them. Create a couple blog posts about, surrounding the topic that you're thinking of creating a product or developing something around, and see how that's received. Post a couple of things on Facebook and see how people react to them. Just dip your toe in the water. So even things like if you wanted to, let's say you want to create a big course on something. Instead of going whole hog and creating this huge course that's worth $300 and potentially no one could buy, why don't you start with a low-priced ebook on a very similar topic, or the same topic, but don't give all the information away, obviously, and see how that goes. And if that gets sold well, then you can move into something a bit higher priced, more in-depth, and give those people who've already purchased your ebook something more to sink their teeth into. Do you see where I'm going with this? So if you're a little nervous about pursuing your idea, you can't decide if it's going to be received well, start with baby steps. Don't take forever, but start with those baby steps. Dip your toe in the water, especially if you can do it for free or for a really low cost, and see how that's received. One note of caution, don't just ask people, do you think this is a good idea? Because there will always be people who are naysayers. The internet is full of opinions, like so many opinions. And I know for certain that if I had asked people, should I release an Instagram ebook, they would have had a million reasons why I shouldn't do it. And they were all wrong. So really, take anyone's opinion with a grain of salt. The last thing that I do is I really think about the idea and think, is this an idea that continues to circle back? And this is the kind of gut check that you can't really rely on anyone else for. You can't do research about it. You just have to really think about, is this idea something that I cannot shake? Is it continually coming back and coming back and coming back and coming back? Is it something that keeps popping up when I'm having conversations with people? Is it something that I go to bed thinking about, or I wake up thinking about? Because that is actually the best criteria and strongest indicator of all. If it's something you cannot shake, if it's something that is really exciting you, continues to make you afraid, is always popping up in your head, or even naturally in conversations when you don't purposefully bring it up, well, then you know that this idea is worth pursuing. Now, I'll tell you, I have one really big plan for Sleeping is for Losers in 2018 that scares the pants off of me. And it is something that, is big. And if it didn't work out, it could potentially, lose me a bit of money. And it could potentially derail my plans for business. but it's an idea that I have had for 4 years and an idea that has not been shaken. There are so many ideas that will fly away a week or two later and you'll think to yourself, oh, I had that good idea about XYZ. What was that? I can't remember that now. That probably wasn't a good idea. That was just a fly-by-night idea. But those ideas that won't go away, that keep circling back, that stick with you, those are the ideas that you need to pursue. You know, I've been around for a long time online and I have seen hundreds of people start blogs and stop. I've seen hundreds of people start businesses and stop. And over again, I see them stopping for those criteria, those reasons that I just talked about. It wasn't their true passion. They just thought they would actually make some money at it. It wasn't something that they explored before they jumped in head first. It really did have a worst case scenario that affected them in a really, really negative way. And often it wasn't an idea that kept circling back, an idea that they couldn't shake. It was an idea that they got from someone else or an idea that they saw one time and they just decided to do it. So really, you need to learn your own criteria for qualifying your ideas. This is mine. And it works over and over again. And I can tell you that whenever I stray from this kind of criteria, whenever I do something because I think it'll make me money or give me notoriety, or when I do something because I see other people doing it, I almost always fail. But when I do something because it really does set my soul on fire, because it serves other people, because it allows me to explore an idea, it allows me to get my creativity out, and it's an idea that I just can't shake, that's when I have the greatest success. So I'd love to know some of your criteria. Do you have something that you do to make sure that an idea is the right one for you to pursue? Have you not listened to yourself and really regretted it before? You can leave me a comment down below, or you can come and head over to my blog, sleepingisforlosers.com, where we'll also be talking about this exact idea. Till next time.